Alright friends, so now we come to something really important to understand that confuse a lot of beginners at the start. Actually, we can write our code either in notebooks or in regular Python files. So now of course the question is, what are the difference between those two and when to use what? So now let's dive in. So now the usual way, we write our Python code inside a Python file like app.py. The py is the extension for Python. And when you run it, Python gonna go and execute everything from the top to the bottom in one go. This is totally fine if you are building apps or systems, but when you start working with data, this is gonna be really annoying because we usually don't really want to run everything at once. We usually want to go step by step. So you want to see the data, the intermediate results after each step. Like, okay, what happened after filtering? What changed after cleaning? What happened like after I combined two data frames? So we usually like to see the intermediate result and not the final result. And if you are working with massive amount of data, this is going to be really painful because every time you run the script, you have to wait because it has to go and process everything from the start again and again, which is honestly a waste of time and break as well your idea flow. And exactly for all those pains, we have a different type of file called notebook. The extension gonna be IPYNB, which stands for Interactive Python Notebook. So instead of having one long script, your code gonna be split into small blocks called cells. And each cell has its own run button and immediately gonna see the output right below it. So with this, you have now full flexibility to decide which block should be executed, and you will be able to see the intermediate results. So you can say, for example, let's go and execute the cell 1 and the cell 3, but I would like to go and skip the cell 2 because everything there is fine. And what is really nice at that, you can go and write your notes and explanations inside your code, and with that, you're going to feel like you are working with a real notebook. So the code, the explanations, and the result, everything in one place. And now comes, of course, the question, do we use notebooks in real projects? Well, of course, yes. I use both of those types in projects. So we use notebooks in order to learn something new. Yes, in projects we learn. And as well, we can test new ideas, explore data. And if you have any data issue, we use notebooks in order to debug things step by step. But the only thing, we don't use notebooks in order to build fully productive system. For that, we use the other type, the Python file, because there we can build real systems like, for example, engineering data pipeline in the production. And using Python files, it is way easier than the notebooks because there we can build functions, reusable logic. We can call different files way easier than notebooks. So Python files are way professional to use in production than notebooks. So each type has its own purpose. Always ask yourself what you are doing. If you are exploring, then go and use the notebooks. But if you are building system, then go and use the Python files. So now for this course, since we are learning, we will be using notebooks instead of Python files. Okay, so now we're going to go through the Databricks Notebook UI because it is really advanced compared to any other platform. You can see here we have a lot of things left and right. Now the main split is between the navigation on the left side and the main work in the middle. And here going to be your main area, and we can add two things. Either a code cell or a text cell. So for example, let's go and add a text cell. So here it's just a markdown in order to explain things, add comments, documents, maybe titles, whatever you want. You can even add images and links. So for example, we're going to go and add a header like first step. So actually that's it. If I click away, you can see now I have a nice header for my document. Of course, if I go and execute, nothing can happen. This is just a text for me. So this is one type. Now let's go and add another type, the code. So click on it. And now inside this window, this cell, we can start writing our code. And here we can use multiple language inside one cell. So it could be as a default Python code. As you can see over here, it says Python. If you click on it, you can see some other options. Like for example, we can go and write an SQL query. So I can go and switch it like this, and here I start writing select star from. And by the way, this doesn't mean that the whole notebook gonna be SQL, so I can decide the language for each cell. So you can switch the language from here, or you can do it inside the cell itself by using the magic command, like for example percentage and then SQL. So if I do it, look at this, it is SQL already. Or you can go and use R in order to write an R code, Scala. So you can write your code in the way that you want. And as well, I can go and switch it to a text by saying, okay, percentage MD. So now my cell is a text like the first one. But now let's say that I'm going to go and have a Python code. Of course, you can leave the magic command or just remove it. And now let's say that I'm going to go and print a message. This is the first step. So I have my code, and now in order to execute it, you have here two options. Either you're going to execute only this cell, so you have here the run button, or you can go to the notebook and run the whole thing. So that means all the cells inside your notebook. Now, of course, we have only one, so it doesn't matter which one you use, but I'm going to go and run the cell. You can see the shortcut Control Enter. Now you can see over here, it is starting the SQL warehouse. So we need always a cluster in order to execute our codes. And at the start, it might take like maybe a minute until everything is ready. So it is online. As you can see, now it's green. And with that, I got my output underneath the cell. This is the first step. So this, my friends, I have two cells, one text and one code. And of course, if you go over here, you can go and switch between those cells as you want. And actually, this is the main idea. So now, for example, I can go and add another step. So we're going to say second step. And that's it. And now we're going to go and add a code beneath it. And this time we're going to use Spark. So Spark dot range and go and generate 3 numbers and show the result in the output. So that's it. I don't have to import anything. Everything is already inside my notebook. Now let's go and execute it. Now you can see we have our result again. It's going to be inside my cell. So each cell has its own output. And this is exactly the magic of the notebooks. I can do things step by step and still I can see the intermediate results. Now, of course, if I would like to go and execute the whole thing, I'm going to go over here and say, okay, go and run all. So that's it. Everything is re-executed. Okay, so this is the main workspace for us. Now on the left side, we have a lot of navigations and stuff. And here we have 3 main sections. The first one is the table of content. Now you can see here we have the first step and the second step. So it gives us a quick overview of everything inside our notebook. So now here you can see the headers that I have defined inside my notebook. The first step and the second step. It is like any other document. You're going to have here an overview of the headers that you have defined inside your notebook. And this is going to be very important if you have like very long notebook. You can go and jump between the sections very quickly by just clicking on the header. Like for example, if I click on the second step, I will jump immediately over here. So if you are an organized person, you can do really amazing things with the table of content. And of course, you can go and start building structure using the headers. We are using currently the H1. Now, if I go and add another text and use the H2, then I'm going to say sub step. Look at this. Now I have it inside the first step. I can go hide it and extend it and so on. So this is a nice way in order to navigate through a big notebook. Now, what else we can do? We can go to the workspace. And here again, you're going to find your workspace. So how you are organizing your project through the folders and files. And the last one, it is very interesting one. You can go to the catalog in order to keep your eye on the data, because mainly we are doing all those stuff to do something with the data. So here you can go to the catalogs and start like browsing your tables to see the structure so that you can go and write your code quickly. So those are the 3 navigation bars that you have on the left side. And of course, we can go and give it a name, like for example, my first notebook. Okay, so now the next thing we have here, like a menu at the top, the usual stuff about how to handle a file and so on, but what is very important is the run. And here I'm not speaking about the run and debug because we already talked about it. What is more important is the clear. So here we have clear state and output, but the clear state is something that you're going to need, especially if you are creating a lot of data frames and you are putting a lot of data inside the memory. What happens over the time, you will be having some old results inside some variables, and you're going to start like doing operations on old data and you expect to have a new data. So everything going to be messed up. And that's of course because you have long day and you are exploring a lot. So now in order to reset everything, to reset the memory, we go over here and say, okay, clear state, and let's start from the scratch so that you make sure the memory is empty and whatever data frame you create in the memory gonna be based on a new data, not old results. So my friends, if the result of your notebook making no sense, go and clear the state and rerun again. And as well, if you want to clean up all the outputs, you can say, okay, clear state and output. I use this a lot. Okay, so now the other things, we already talked about it. Here you have the compute. You can go and schedule the execution of your code or go and share it with the others. And on the right side, we have here many tools. Like for example, we have the version history. So if you made any mistakes and you would like to roll back to an older version of your code, you can go and select the correct version and then restore it. Or if you are using GitHub, you can of course always roll back to an older version. Another thing we have here, the environment. So here we can do few adjustments about the cluster by adding, like for example, more memory. But again, it is only fundamental things. It's not that deep. Or you can go and change the Databricks environment version. So if you'd like to go and test an older version, you can go over here and run your notebook using an older version of Databricks and Python. But I'm gonna say always leave it as a default. Don't change anything here. And what is very interesting, of course, over here, the Genie code. So here we can use the help of the AI agent in order to build for me maybe some transformations in Spark, or I could have a shot with the AI in order to understand the result or maybe the code. So this is really new and cool. So I'm gonna say almost we have covered everything inside the UI of the Databricks notebook, and you can see it is very advanced. And of course, we're gonna use it in order to learn Spark and PySpark. Of course, my friends, if you enjoy this type of content where I'm sketching how things works behind the scenes, this is really time consuming, then support the channel by subscribing and commenting. This can really help to push on the channel to reach nice people like you. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next Power BI video. Bye bye.